One of the questions I'm asked quite a bit is why doesn't a diet work? In other words, why do we go up and down yo-yo dieting? The answer is actually quite simple. Normal diets consist of caloric reduction, or the number of calories that you take is greatly reduced. Hopefully that you'll combine that reduction of calories or food taken in with exercise. However, most of us simply don't. The big problem comes in with the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is very, very primitive. It only understands black and white. There is no shades of gray. So when we look at a diet, we look at it as a temporary type situation. The subconscious does not. The subconscious is directed with a prime directive, if you will, of self-preservation. In other words, the subconscious will do everything it possibly can do to keep you alive, regardless of the consequences. This is why if you go on a very protein-enriched diet for a long period of time with very little carbohydrates, your body will go into a thing called keratosis, which is something that the Atkins diet wanted you to go on in a short period of time. However, if this goes on over a period longer than that controlled time, what happens is the subconscious mind takes over and says, I am in a time of extreme famine. Because I'm in a time of extreme famine, I'm going to go ahead and slow down the metabolism and do everything I can to preserve every single fat cell that I've got. And sometimes, especially if you go into keratosis, that means that the body will actually begin to eat, if you will, or take the nutrients from the lean muscle mass and go ahead and basically fuel our body, keeping the fat as a final line of defense. Now, with a normal diet, the typical over-the-counter type diets, what we do is we simply use portion control and we reduce the amount of caloric intake. The subconscious naturally comes back and says we are in a time of famine. We've moved out of a time of feasting, now we're in a time of famine, food is hard to get. So I'm going to start doing things now to preserve the human body, make it last as long as it possibly can until we can ride out this famine. The end result of that is we lose weight. But when our diet is over, what happens? We put the weight back on and probably anywhere between 10 to 30 pounds extra. This is the subconscious again coming back in and saying, we just finished one famine, I don't know when the next one is going to hit, and so I'm going to preserve the human body so I can preserve myself throughout the next famine, no matter how long that is. And so the result is we do what's called yo-yo dieting. Now, the weight loss industry as a whole has been built on failure, not on success. If you look at all the weight loss programs straight across the board, the only people that have success, or the percentage of people, is about 23%. In hypnotherapy, we understand why that is, but that doesn't really apply to this particular conversation. The point is chances are you're not in that 23%. So now what do we have to do? Well, our answer to that is to go ahead and use hypnotherapy and combined with various methods to actually get the subconscious on board, where you no longer desire certain foods. You begin to eat your own portion control. You eat multiple meals a day, not just 3. And when you snack on things that are higher in protein and that are a little bit lighter on the carbohydrates. Trust me, this is not a high protein type situation at all. This is simply using your body and the subconscious mind the way that it was designed to work. The result is you lose the weight about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds a week, and it stays off forever. More importantly, you can go into any restaurant, any home, any occasion, and you can eat. You will find that your body will naturally gravitate you towards foods that it needs, and it will back you away from foods that really aren't that good for you. Most of my clients will sit down and tell you, if you ask them, what's it like at Thanksgiving? What's it like at Christmas? And they'll smile and tell you it's a wonderful time. I ate, I was full, I stopped eating, and then dessert time came around and I had a little piece of whatever. And most of the time they say, I didn't even eat it. It was like a switch turned off and I didn't want it anymore. That's what we're looking for, and that's why we have been so successful.